Let's go.
Dr. Rosie Milligan, one of the most sought-after speakers on the circuit today. Her live internet talk show, Express Yourself, is the most provocative, thought-provoking, and talked-about radio show on the internet. There's no holds barred, and Dr. Milligan puts the B in bold. She brings it every Tuesday live at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Rosie has been proclaimed the most provocative female writer of the century. Her books include Satisfying the Black Man and Black Woman Sexually Made Simple, Why Black Men Choose White Women, and the book Nigga Please. These books have raised eyebrows across the country. She has authored 21 books and published 350 titles for authors nationwide. Check Dr. Rosie out at drrosie.com for her books, articles, and archives of her internet talk show. Sit at the feet of wisdom. Dr. Milligan is indeed a timekeeper and scorekeeper. She is the clock, calendar, and almanac for Black America. You need to hear her.
Sunny California. It's hot out here. You're listening to the Express Yourself Hour. I am your host, Dr. Rosie Milligan, coming to you live as we always do with nothing but straight talk. Yes, folks, that's how we do it around here. Nothing but straight talk. My co-hosts are Mr. Keith Swanson. He's the invisible man. I don't know if he's on. He may still be hanging out somewhere invisible. But this is getting exciting because people keep saying, I don't believe Keith is real. And I put out money on the table for the first person who identified Keith. They haven't done that yet. So I wish they hurry up and do it because they're about to break my bank account. Is Keith on the air? Well, I guess Keith is hiding out. He'll probably jump in here a little bit later. Maybe somebody found him and holding him so he can't come and get me. I don't know what they're doing. My other co-host is, we call her the Valley Girl, Shawannah Bordenave. Shawannah, how are you?
Hey, Dr. Rosie, how are you doing today?
Good. You stopped selling real estate long enough to come on the show this morning, right?
Yeah, stop working on it. I tried to buy the property. So, yeah, I stopped right now. But it's okay. I love being here.
Well, we love having you. You bring so much to the table with us. Well, you guys, we have a great show for today, and I have a wonderful guest. And we're talking about some things that people really at one time didn't want to talk about. I think COVID ushered in a conversation around the dinner table that most people never had before. It really did, because people didn't want to talk about that. They just thought it wasn't real or it wasn't going to happen. It's going to happen to Miss Liz down the street. It's not going to happen in my house. That's what happened when I remember back in the days trying to teach the community how to do CPR because people were having heart attacks, and people always felt, I don't need to know that. That's for the neighbor down the street. Nothing like that's going to happen at my house. I think everything have come pretty close now that we know, like Murphy Law, anything that can go wrong or anything that can happen just might happen. So that's why we are having this dialogue today, because we are seeing so much misery, so much pain, hearts been broken, financial devastation. So it's just time now to bring it straight up front to talk about it. And so my guest today, well, let me give you the topic, what we're talking about first. We're going to talk about what every family needs to know about burial plans versus life insurance made simple. You know, if we could show, it's just something we have to do. If we can show you how to cover 7 people for a burial plan, then I'm sure you'll take us up on our offer. This is so critical. And usually I don't come on my show talking about different things that's out there or some services, but this is just, I found it to be so phenomenal. And my guest, wow, she's a great woman, Miss Barbara Gates. She's a business and end-of-life coach. She's a business and end-of-life coach. You know, people never thought we'd be needing an end-of-life coach, but we sure do now. It's important because a lot of people do not pre-plan. So then you have to have a coach who would, at the very end, even though you don't have anything planned, you have somebody that can help you through it. Good morning, Miss Gates. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Rosie, and thanks again for having me on your show. It's just really a pleasure to join you today to share some really important information with your guests and listeners, because I know that you add value to our community just by having this show. Information is powerful. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much. So we're going to be talking about burial plan, and we're going to be talking about insurance. I did my research and came up with some interesting information, Shawannah. Black Americans are more likely to buy life insurance than the general population. Now, that's interesting, right?
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
Uh-huh. And one of the reasons why is because, think about it, date way back in the day when that's the only thing that was offered, made available to black folks, because nobody talked about stocks and bonds and all of this kind of stuff. Yeah, so the only thing they knew to hedge off some of the devastation from hardship and death was a little life insurance policy, and it wasn't enough. And through history, you know, there have been many lawsuits because people who sold policies and even insurance just railroaded black people, sold them high premium. It was a lot of discrimination and racism involved in insurance companies, how they would sell something to black people and they felt they really had something, but it wasn't enough to bury them. You know, they would come around to the house and collect the money. They pay for a lifetime, and at the end of their life, they may have a $500 policy, you know. So this,
we called him the debit man. Remember the debit man, Dr. Rosie, knocking on the door on Saturday morning, picking up the life insurance premium. He came every Saturday.
And Mama would have it in cash. Wasn't no check, you guys. Wasn't no credit card. They kept that money. They would have it in a little drawer, in an envelope. They religiously made sure that they had life insurance. Now, that's interesting, Ms. Gates, because we're looking at these people who didn't have an education. It's funny how they understood so much that we don't understand today. Isn't that amazing? They understand the importance of holding on to land. They understood the importance of education. Every parent would tell their child, you got to go to college. You got to know more. You got to be 3 times smarter than the other people. I mean, they gave good advice. They all had insurance policy. Didn't pay much, but they had it. They did the best that they could do based on the knowledge that they had. Now, how is it that they prepared? They didn't have a college degree, but they knew about planning and preparation. What happened?
Corporate America has rocked this community to sleep. Okay, you get your good job, and they say you got a life insurance. But the one thing we don't think about is that you don't have any life insurance if you don't have that job. So you have this life insurance, you work this job, you do everything you want to do, and then when it's over, now you're too old to be insurable. You cannot afford the rate that it's going to cost you to be insurable, and you hadn't put in place that conversion that says I can take this from the job and own it later. It's like planning. It's what we fail to do. This product that I wanted to talk to you about today is called Assure for Life. It's a burial assistance program. Now, I know we're not going to die. None of us. You know, we don't plan on it, and we don't want to have those difficult conversations with our parents and aging loved ones because it's a difficult conversation to happen. But it's going to happen, and if we don't have the conversation, that's when we look up and we go, oops. We start passing a hat. We start looking at GoFundMe, and then we said, oops, Uncle Bubba done died and you don't have no insurance. What are we going to do? That is the dilemma. The first thing that we want to know is that what I'm going to talk to you about just briefly today is it's not an insurance policy. It's a burial plan. It's a burial plan, but it's exactly what you need when your loved one passes away suddenly, okay? Because it's going to happen, not when, but not if, but when. This product is available in the United States, Latin America, and the Caribbean. The Assure for Life Burial Assistance Program has been in the United States for 70 years. 70 years. Just as Dr. Rosie was just talking about, things that we know from behind we forget, but they work then and they work now. Mm-hmm. If we will just get in lockstep with what is going on in our community today. For 70 years, it's been highly rated with the Better Business Bureau. 5 stars. Look it up. This service has provided more than 10,000 funerals per year. Average cost of a funeral, is like $7,000. And that's not burying you. That's just getting the mortuary, picking you up from wherever you died, and handling the casket and all of that. $7,000 to $15,000.
So
a
that
plot
doesn't,
is like real estate.
Ms.
It does
Gates,
not
that doesn't,
include a burial.
does not include the plot or the crypt.
No, ain't no plot, ain't no crypt, because we're starting from nothing. At this point, you have no insurance. God knows you're not going to hope for a burial in Inglewood Park Cemetery. We're talking $10,000, $12,000 for that alone, a hole in the ground. Okay, that's what that is. This burial plan will allow you to do what most people are doing, which is to cremate your loved one, have the service, have the beautiful casket, have the family members present, and everything you need to do paid for in advance, up to 7 people, up to 7. Okay, including yourself. Well, let me just share just a little bit about what this product looks like for you. Okay, it costs $720 in special rate states. California happens to be a special rate state. Okay, $720 annually. 7 people. That's me, Mama June, my 3 children, 2 more children, and my parents, if they're above 65, can be included in this policy. It's not a policy in this plan. So now if my parents are elderly, and qualifying for life insurance for elderly can be very costly. You see it on TV every day. Under $10 a day. Yes, that's for $1,000. Okay? $1,000 per unit. If we got insurance agents, we will know that every time you see that number, you think that's a monthly rate. Yes, it is. But it's $9.95 per unit. A unit is $1,000. That's the fine print. That's where we miss it, okay? So now, to avoid GoFundMe pages, the burden of credit card debt to the family members, to cover the cost of funeralizing a family member, here is a product that will assist you in that area. Now, there's lots of reasons people don't have life insurance. Loss of a job, pre-existing conditions, poor credit, high blood pressure. It's too expensive. They lock us out of whole life benefit earning policies on purpose. It's designed for you not to participate. But that doesn't exclude you from having the freedom of knowing my loved one can be buried with some dignity, with some respect, and without me maxing out my credit cards at 29% interest. Let's just talk about that's exactly what happens. Okay? There's only 4 conditions that will prevent you from being a participant in this program. Only 4.
Okay.
You can't be currently terminally ill. Obviously, they're not going to do anything for you, insurance or anything, if you're terminally ill. You can't be currently on dialysis. You can't have active cancer or a brain tumor. Well, that's limited. That's good. There's lots of people that don't have any of these conditions, and they also don't have a burial plan. So now we've covered a huge group of people that have a need for something we can provide here, okay? You can be on one plan unless you have any of these conditions I just mentioned. If you don't have any of those, you're ready to go.
Wow.
You're ready to go. Go ahead.
And life insurance is not going to cover anybody under these conditions either. So we have a lot of people who cannot qualify to get insurance. And, when you think of all the chronic disease and disorder, high blood pressure, all the dialysis patients, and a lot of them happen to be African American. And so we're looking at a whole slew of people that's not qualified to get traditional insurance. And it's such a burden. But I also think, Ms. Gates, that even if people have insurance right now, they might want to look at, well, you know what? For something this reasonable, because I can't believe that covering 7 people, that's like $100 a year.
A year.
For each person. But my point is, if most people, many people, let's put it like that do have insurance, life insurance, they really don't have enough to match today's inflation. So if you just have a $10,000 policy, $5,000, then you don't have enough to bury your loved one in the first place. So
that's
then you
where the
might
beauty
want
of
to
this
use
plan.
that money to keep the household going, especially if you're the breadwinner.
And the beauty of this plan is this is it. We've got lots of blended families. Okay, we've got lots of grandchildren and other people that are out and about. In a traditional life insurance policy, you've got to show up. You got to bring the body. You got to have blood. You got to have a physical visit from a nurse to write a life insurance policy, and you have to have their permission. Okay, so let's just say my grandson, Junior, is out there in these streets, and I know Junior is doing everything he don't need to do, but I want to put some coverage on him. I want to put some protection on Junior. All I need to add Junior to my plan is Junior's legal name. We know his name ain't Junior or Bubba. His legal name, James Johnson, whatever his legal name is, his date of birth, the city and state that he lives in, and guess what? I can take care of Junior remotely in my plan.
Without his permission?
Without his permission, without his signature, without his Social Security number, without anything, his name, his date of birth, the city and state that he lives in. That's all the information that this plan requires you to have and make Junior eligible for a burial assistance program when Junior is standing somewhere and he's shot, drive by. Junior has a heart attack suddenly. We know Junior ain't taking care of his diabetes, whatever he's doing. If Junior is on my policy and he doesn't have these conditions at the time I open my policy, and I'm answering the question because he doesn't, he is eligible to be covered under my policy.
Does he have to live in the same city with you?
No, ma'am. No, he does not. The city that he lives in will absolutely dictate the rate. There's two rates for this policy. One is $900, one is $720. If Junior lives in one of the non-low-rated states, it may be just a little bit different, but not much. But if everybody on your plan lives in California, we're talking about $720 plus a one-time $30 fee.
For 7
every
people.
12 months. For 7 people. And what's the beauty of these 7 people is that we never have these conversations with these people when we think about the tragedy that just happened in California on Thursday. Here's 5 people that left home saying, I'll be right back. None of them did. None of them expected. And a lot of them are young people. Young people don't have life insurance because you don't expect to die. We're not planning to die.
Not to cut you off, but you said something really important. You guys, we're going to open the lines up in a few minutes. I just need to get a little more clarification. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of young people who do not have any type of coverage, and their grandparent or their guardian, well, grandparents always try to look out and cover their grandchildren and their children. So to me, this sounds like an excellent plan that you can afford to make sure because you have something because you don't. Who are they looking at if something happened? Grandma, Social Security check, or your retirement?
Exactly.
This is excellent.
And what this policy does, what this plan does for you, it gives you a phone number. Most people, I encourage them to keep it close by. You just make the phone call, give them your policy number that's assigned to you, your plan, the name of the deceased, and where they are. After that, your work is done. They will select a qualified mortuary in your area to pick it up from there and go. They will provide the casket, the viewing, everything right up until the point if you insist on having a burial plot, you will have to purchase it. But if you're going to go with our medium cost, which is to have them cremated, you will have the family hour, you will have the beautiful chapel, you will have the prayer cards, you will have all of that, and you will pay not 10 cents. It will be all organized and coordinated for you from that one call to 1-800 number, and it's done deal. It's a wrap. No GoFundMe pages, no fried chickens, no car washes, none of the above.
You know, that's interesting, Ms. Gates. It's interesting because we also did research, and it shows that cremation is on the rise. I'm sure before COVID, if someone was talking about a plan like what you're talking about, I can't be put in the ground. I'm not going to be put in a crib. Oh, no way, Jose. But now I did a little research, and it shows that cremation is on the rise in Black and Latina community. You know, that
Exactly.
your traditional funeral is kind of out of the window, because you mentioned 12,000, but most people I know that's having a funeral where they're burying someone down. They're telling me it's between $17,000 and $20,000, because they are paying $10,000 or more just for the gravesite. And if they're going to move that body from the mortuary to the church, they got to have those, those motorcycle guys. I mean, I couldn't believe how much it costs, but people are more apt to accept. I don't know if they accept it or they can't. They're waking up to the fact that I can't afford that. I'm not going to mortgage my house to bury somebody. I'm not going to up my credit card. So, Shawannah, what do you think about all this?
I think it's something that everyone definitely needs to think about. As I was saying before, there was a time when, oh my God, you talk about insurance for death. I feel like, and I'm sure a lot of people that's on the line feels and also may have felt the same way, because it feels like an energy, and energy is powerful. So when you start talking about death insurance and plots and life insurance and all of that, I feel like I'm really an energy type of girl. So I really feel like you're pulling that negative energy towards you. But today, in today's lifetime that we've gone through, I think we hear about death like it's nothing now. I mean, every single day, someone is dying of some rare disease, some rare thing, or just dying, just flat out, just standing here today and falling out right in front of you, and they're gone. And
Shawannah,
it's something that we have to think about.
That's a great point. That's a great point, because there's one more thing that I wanted to share. This particular plan, 3 business days after you apply for this insurance, it automatically covers for accidental death, violent death, that's murder, and we know that happens a lot. And guess what? Suicide. Traditional insurance policies do not cover suicide, ever, never, no way. Okay? 3 business days after you enroll someone in your plan, they are covered. So let's just say there's a YouTube testimonial on this particular product. The lady had her plan for 2 weeks. Both her children were involved in a fatal accident. 2 children. She put them on there 2 weeks ago. This company paid for both funerals 100%. And since I said she put it on 2 weeks ago, how much money did she invest? One time, $720. And she buried 2 of her children for not 10 cents. This plan will afford you the comfort to know when this happens, not if, but when it happens, you're prepared. As a member of Assure for Life, you have a telephone number that you make a call, and you are at peace that your loved one will be handled with dignity, respect, and it's already paid for. That's the beauty of a burial assistance program. That's
wow. And the important thing about that, because we show it as, sometimes there have been people in the family that haven't gotten any respect or notoriety, but when it comes to that funeral, we step up to the plate. This was a good man. Everybody got something to say. It's celebrating. It's a celebration of a person, whether they were good or bad. So it leaves the family feeling good. Now, I know a lot of people, like I said, more people now looking at cremation because they can't afford anything else. Now, if you had mentioned this plan before COVID, people would have looked at you like crazy. I ain't cremating nobody, honey. No, not me. It's against their religion. It's against their principle. But we've seen so much. Like I said, COVID have ushered in the conversation about death, and it has opened people's mind as a new way of not putting my life saving in the graveyard. People really coming to grip with that. I'd rather take this money and help Junior go over here and go to college this fall versus put it in the grave. So we're really on a new path as to how we look at death and how we look at, when we're departing. Let me give the telephone number out here. The number is 310-928-7733. That's 310-928-7733. And we're going to see if we get some callers, get some takers today, maybe even talk about some of your own experience. And I know you don't want to talk about that. You guys are out there listening. We see you. You're listening. So if you have a question, feel free to call and talk about it. Because when you're looking at Shawannah, the breadwinner, let's think a person going along, 4 or 5 children, they doing fine, living the life for Riley. Husband has a great job, making good money with good benefits, okay? Even if he has a life insurance policy of $200,000, most people don't have that type of policy. But even so, if you have a wife and 5 children, in today's market, that $200,000 policy is absolutely nothing. So what I'm talking about, families being so devastated. And Shawannah, how long you think it'll take a person to recuperate when they lose the breadwinner, or will they ever?
Yeah, it's really hard to do that. I mean, that's again, that mindset thing. It's really hard once you're set, because once you get a certain age, you feel like this is all you have, the money that you're going to be getting, and how can you really create? So, I mean, to be serious, that's how some people think. But you can recreate, but it's hard. I mean, when you get all these bills, $20,000, $30,000, and it just keeps coming, and it's like, well, okay, and you have everything else right now. I mean, you have everything going up. All your bills are constantly going up. The gas is going up. It's a whole different world we're in. So, like, again, as I was saying earlier, it was something I was totally against, but now it's something that I have, and, I don't look at it as that. I look at it as something that you need in order to make sure your kids are okay. Make sure they're not stressed when you're gone, You're
and
not
one
really
thing we must do, Shawannah, we must stop paying for unexpected deaths with credit cards and GoFundMe pages. We just got to do that. We have to look at life. And the one thing that Dr. Rosie program brings to many people is information. Here's a piece of information that's so valuable. When you become, let's just say Barbara, myself, has a term policy. And I've been paying for it for 30 years. I got it. It's mine. When Barbara hits 65, that term policy goes away. Okay? Most people don't realize that. It's from 0 to 65. It's in the fine print, the piece that we don't read. And the box where we check, I have read and understand. That's what it says down there. So now Mama hits 77, and we got this policy. No, you got a nice piece of paper. That's what you got over there. It's a nice piece of paper, because that 65-year-old policy is going to convert to not $26 a month, but $756 a month. Whole different number.
You know what's interesting about that? Years in the past, I'm dating myself. Years in the past, people would get a term policy so they can get more, and they figure, well, I don't need it. When I get 65, my kids won't need me. They'll be all grown and gone. Shawannah, grown and gone. That's what they would say. They're grown and gone, or they will have finished college by the time I get 65. So if I don't, I can just totally drop it if I want to. If I don't have insurance, it doesn't matter. But we couldn't plan for today. We couldn't plan for today's inflation, because what's happening now, a lot of these grown kids are back at home, and not only are they back at home, they come back with their children. So you got them and the children. So folks, we in a new day like never before, and that's why I'm having this conversation, and it's time that we do it. I see that Mr. Keith have joined us too, but you got to have this conversation. I think every family need to be talking about this, particularly if the person who is a true breadwinner of the family, I'm sure it's frightening for you to think about, oh, what if something happened to Dad? What if something happened to Mom? But folks, we got to take our head out of the sand and start planning that should something happen, would we be able to keep this house? Would Junior have to come out of college? I just think that these are the conversations in the time that we need to have these conversations, because families are just totally devastated. May lose their home.
You're absolutely correct on that one, because two things will happen. You think you're embarrassed about having this conversation while Mama's alive. Let Mama close her eyes and don't wake up tomorrow. Now you really got a problem, because average cost of cremation is $2,000. Where's the $2,000 going to come from? We're now looking at City Card. We're looking at American Express. We're looking at what we're going to do, because now we have got to give Mama a burial with some dignity. We have to. Okay, but we didn't think to ask that question beforehand. Mama, what is your position? With this plan, you can add your parents above 65 to this plan within the same money. So now you got Mama and Daddy. At least you don't have to worry about what's going to happen with an aged parent at this point.
Well, even if you want to have a traditional burial, you want them to go in the ground, you still save money with this plan, right?
Absolutely. We will take care of everything right up until the burial ground. We don't do real estate at all, but all of the things that we just described, the mortician, the funeralizing, the prayer cards, all of that, right up until, and deliver the hearse with the body to wherever you want it to go. Deliver it to you right there. But you will have to pay for that piece, that spot in the ground, that opening and that closing, and that can be upwards of $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 if you have it to invest. I think Mama would prefer you give it to Junior and help Junior do something moving forward, but that's a personal choice.
Wow. Mr. Keith, I understand that you have joined us. What are your thoughts on really just even talking about death?
Well, you have to, post-COVID, especially post-COVID and all the other stuff that's going on in the world and rising prices. There's a recent report that what they call it sudden death syndrome in young people, right, below the age of 30. Mm-hmm. They had like 10,000 people, 10,000 man, it's shortening everybody's lives, and you don't know at any age, you really don't know, okay, because if you had young people below the age of 30 just dropping dead like old folks, what is it doing to the old folks? You basically
watch out with old folks, Keith.
Well, I'm an old person. So I'm in that category, right? And you just had almost 1.5 million people just die over the past 2 years, just gone, right? Of all ages. Okay. Now everybody has a relationship with death that they didn't have 2-3 years ago. Okay. Right. 2-3 years ago, medicine was good. The environment was good. Your food was clean. The water was clean. And people just, people died. But the thing is, they died of long-term stuff like cancer or even diabetes or heart disease, which took 10, 15, sometimes 20 years for people to die, right? Now you got people dropping dead within weeks, okay? Young people, we're talking about of all ages, right? People just dying within weeks. So you could have, a grandpa or uncle today, perfectly healthy, right? Perfectly healthy, walking around, best of all their checkups, stuff like that, healthy as a horse, right? Mm-hmm. Next week, you have a disease come in, a virus come in, and they're gone in 3 weeks. You cannot with certainty say that person at any age is going to be alive. You're going to have to plan for this. Okay, black folks are going to have to get out of their mindset. I know we've been put to sleep by this modern environment, right? Because the old folks, back in the day, before 1950, the average age of an adult man, lifespan adult man, was less than 40 years old. You had a relationship with death that you didn't have. You had a relationship with death back then that you don't have now, right? We have to reclaim that. And the thing is about losing a breadwinner. Okay, the median earnings of all Americans is $33,000 a year, right? $32,000 a year. 80% of people living in America are one paycheck from being on the street. Okay, so you're losing a breadwinner. Okay, without any kind of coverage, that's going to put you on the street. Okay. It's not one of those things where we're going to have to bury him and try to figure out how to bury him. No, that's going to put you and your kids and sometimes even your grandchildren on the street, because everybody in that chain now, from the teen is impact from a teenager all over to grandpa. Grandpas and grandmas like me are helping sustain our children and our grandchildren now. So you lose grandpa, you're losing a weight. Grandpa is a breadwinner just like everybody else now. He's not retired over in the corner, with his feet up, smoking his cigars and eating his porridge no more, right? No, grandpa, that $100 or $150 you get for grandpa is keeping your lifestyle, keeping you housed, keeping you fed. Okay,
that Social Security check, everything that's coming in their house is important.
Is important now. Okay, and that's the thing that we have to emphasize to people, right? Is, people, I know people that sell insurance try to sell the Rosie side. Now sometimes you have to scare people. Okay, that guy, your husband, even though you both have decent jobs, like earning $30,000-$40,000 a year. Okay. That person goes, or the wife goes and can't earn, especially with the rate of inflation now. That's between you and being housed, or you between eating, okay?
Between having a roof over your head, it gets to that. Keith, we got one caller. We're going to take this call and come back to you, because you have really given some good points, because that breadwinner, and people forget about what grandma's staying with us, but grandma getting the Social Security check.
Hey, did you see that news report? Well, this was a white woman, right? Okay. Her mother died at 93. She hid that woman's death for 4 months. Okay.
Oh.
Keep the check coming. Keep the check coming, because she couldn't afford to live there if she didn't.
Wow.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I told my husband the same thing. I said, if he died, I ain't telling nobody.
I don't blame you.
Well, the mortuary is mandated now to notify Social Security, because people are spending those checks, and when Social Security came for the money, they start crying. I used that money to bury them with. So now they know real quick. We have something on
I ain't
board.
telling them either.
We have a caller holding, I believe, 901. 901?
Good morning.
Good morning. Who are we talking to?
This is Linda Taylor calling from Memphis.
Oh, Linda from Tennessee, the author of Ebonics. All right. How are you?
Listen, I texted all my siblings and brother-in-laws to listen in, and I doubt if they got a chance to do it. But I was wondering, first of all, is this recorded for people to listen to later, or will it air again, or
it's going to air tonight, probably at 6:00. The engineer will put it in the text. This have to air. I just think it's so important, Linda, that we talk about this. We're not in Mississippi where you can go out to the little country church and they let you bury somebody free. Those days are over. So what's your take on whether family really need to be discussing this? And see, what Linda did is what everybody should be doing. Waking your family. Get up. You need to listen, because they don't think about it. So if you don't have that conversation, you can't wait till somebody dies and start trying to have the conversation. That's where the GoFundMe comes in.
It's too late. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We have a disabled son, and maybe it's a good thing that nobody will give him life insurance, kind of listening to what she's saying. But does your company cover with the burial on disabled people, or how does that work?
Absolutely, Linda. The 4 items that I just earlier said, brain tumor, terminally ill, dialysis, those are the only thing that excludes you from being covered in our plan. Being disabled is absolutely not an exclusion from this plan. Not at all. Okay. And that's one of the things that we talk about when we talk about future earnings. We talk about who's going to take care of your special needs children when you cannot.
Right. Now, is this a West Coast situation only, or is this for us in the South?
Us in the South, too. It covers the entire United States. The rates are different in some of the Midwestern states, but North Carolina, South Carolina, New York, California, and Puerto Rico are what we call low states, and they're $700. All the other states are $900. But it's an annual payment. It's one time, and if you pay for it using the family plan annually, you get 1 month free. So I mean, it's win-win across the board.
And it covers 7 people, right?
7 people. The plan holder
it doesn't have to be your children. Can it be a friend or just somebody you know on your block that you know don't have insurance and grandmama can't afford it?
It does not have to be a relative of yours. The only condition about relatives is that you can include your 2 parents or spouses above 65. Traditional insurance won't even insure you above 65. Our plan will allow you to add your parents between 65 and 80, even if she's going to be 80 in 3 months. If she's not 80 today, she can be added to your plan and covered until her death.
Okay. Well, that's good information now. So I can get the telephone numbers and everything from the website that I.
She's going to give you her website.
I'm going to give you the contact information so you can get your personalized consult on what you need. It's either Dr. Rosie or myself, and at the end of the call, we will give all the information out so that everybody will be able to reach out and get some additional information or get enrolled in the plan, whatever you decide. I'm encouraging people to take a look at it because every single day, you said, well, I'm going to do it tomorrow. As I said earlier in the call, the lady insured her children, and 2 weeks later, they were not here anymore. So tomorrow is not a luxury that we have in this lifetime, in this time of our life. Tomorrow is not our friend.
I heard you
Ms.
say...
Gates, go ahead and give your number out now, and then we'll give it again at the end of the show because it's important for them to get it.
Absolutely. Barbara Gates, area code 213-999-0892. My email address is the same, BarbaraGates@gmail.com. My entire name, Barbara Gates, Gates, @gmail.com. Or you can reach Dr. Rosie, drrosie@aol.com. And Dr. Rosie, you can give them your office number as well. Either number will get you all the information you need and get you enrolled in this plan. And over the phone, name, address, phone number, how you're going to pay for it, and it's a wrap. It's done. It's seamless. It's so efficient. And one last thing I want to share with you, Linda, is that if you put 6 people on here, let's say Aunt Johnny dies, next year when it's time to re-enroll your program, you can replace Aunt Johnny with Auntie June. Okay? No additional money, nothing. As people drop off your plan, you can substitute them with other people on your plan. They don't have to be your relatives. It could be Miss Georgia across the street. I love her. She's a sweet lady. I'm going to bless her with adding her to my policy.
Wow. And as I say, Aunt George's burial would have been handled by your plan, and then we can put somebody else in her place. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. We have buried Aunt Georgia last year. Next year, let's just say your plan renews in October. You can call the 800 number that's going to be attached to your plan and say, listen, Aunt Georgia's not here anymore. I want to add Miss Phillips. I'm going to bless Miss Phillips from my church to have a funeral plan here so when she goes, we don't have to worry about that. Because you don't have 7 people, don't miss the opportunity.
Okay, we wouldn't be able to do it the next week after Aunt Georgia died, huh? We'd have to wait for it.
Only an open enrollment 12 months later.
Okay.
Anniversary of your plan.
I'm going to stop talking because I can talk all day. Thank you so much, Dr. Rosie, for taking
my
call.
Please give us a call and get all your questions answered. Not a problem.
Yes, ma'am, I will. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. How's your husband? Because he's the health expert. I'm going to have to bring him on our show real soon. He's really great. Keith, is there something on the board?
Yeah, this is coming out of Barbados. Says, hi, I was born in the USA, but I currently live in Barbados. My money and my assets were made when I was in the USA, but my will is on file in Barbados. Do I need to file a will in the USA to ensure that my wishes are honored there? This is from William Dower. I think you should call Dr. Rosie.
I think that's an estate planner question.
Yeah, that's an estate planner. Give me a call after the show at 323-750-3592. That's 323-750-3592. Or you can email me at Dr. Rosie, DRROSIE at AOL.com. And I'll talk to you about that situation. And this show is going to rebroadcast, I believe, at 6 o'clock p.m. 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So those who didn't get a chance to listen, didn't get your friend and family on, it'll be a great time for you to go to Inner Light, INNER, InnerLightRadio.com at 6 p.m. and this show will re-air. And I'm just happy to see people now wanting to talk about things that they didn't want to talk about before. Because I've seen so many families devastated. I had a friend, she and her husband were both sick, and they were getting their Social Security. So they never talked about what would happen if one of them would die. And when he died, they were paying, I think, like $1,500. They were 8 years ago, folks saying you can't get no $1,500 now for no 2-bedroom. So you know this go way back, okay? But she thought for sure, Keith, that she would continue to get his Social Security. She didn't know that you can only get one, his or yours, whichever one is the highest. Is the highest. That's what you would get. And you all can also go to my YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and Dr. Rosie, Rosie Milligan, and you'll find an archive of many of the different shows we've done. You will find it on YouTube. That's Dr. Rosie Milligan. Go to YouTube, and you'll be able to see many of the shows. I'll give you the exact address next time. The channel, I think, okay, YouTube channel 2, I think that's what Jamal has up there.
Yeah. And your last 3 shows is something that everybody that's above the age of 50 should listen to.
Wow, that's true.
Really sit down because, Social Security, your benefits, your Medicare, your Medi-Cal, your burial insurance. That's all. Really, anybody above the age of 40, okay, should be listening to this.
Keith, what you're saying makes perfect sense because we had a previous show with Dr. Rosie when we talked about statistically most of the homeless people that are old, aged homeless people are there because of the death of a spouse. Okay, this house that you thought me and my husband lived in for 30 years, you are not on title, not yours, and his children want it. And then you find yourself without a place to live.
Exactly.
When we talk about blended families, and I have a blended family, so I know the dynamic of that. I love them. I'm not their best friend, but I still have a plan for them because they're my husband's children, and I want to make sure that he doesn't have to worry about.
I have an old saying that after seeing so many people go through this, I always tell people, blood is thicker than water, but it's not thicker than money. I've seen so many families. Don't you call mama
them when their children die.
When it comes down to money,
I had my one friend, Keith.
Go ahead.
She buried her husband with the doves and flying, all of that, and the horse-drawn carriage and all of that. And when they came back that her name wasn't on that house and she was going to have to move, she wanted to dig him up. I'm telling you, it's real.
I'm glad you brought that up because, we assume so much in life. People get married, the woman have the house, the husband or the woman, vice versa. But there's the bottom line is here, you guys, we just don't talk enough. We don't talk about, I have a reverse mortgage. I've seen people die and the kids go, I didn't know mama had a reverse mortgage. We got to refinance this house, so we have to get up out of it. Folk, we need to be talking about all of these things. I don't know why we're not talking.
What is it like Reagan said, trust but verify?
Yeah. Let me see
I think we should open up a series of critical conversations to have with my family, a series of 5 or 6 weeks of critical conversations to have with my family, okay, with my children, where my stuff is. If you look at the amount of money that goes back to the state of California for bank accounts that you didn't know your mama had.
Right.
Yeah.
Somewhere else under some other name with some other state that you didn't look for until somebody calls you and say, well, for 1/3 of it, I'll tell you where it is.
Well, that's right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
and you know what? There are a lot of people, Keith, who still have, those who are in a second marriage, beware. Beware. Because you never think to ask that man or that woman, did you change your beneficiary? You just hoopla, honeymooning, I got a new husband.
Yeah.
This is cute. Y'all having fun. And then he died, she died, and you find out that insurance on their job, retirement, all that stuff, hit with the ex-wife.
Black people do not trust one another, and that's the problem. That's why I said that. I think I said this. You're going to show
me, okay? You're going to show me. I want to see that policy.
The thing is that, I know why old folks and why black folks don't do that, because they don't trust each other. I don't trust the wife. I don't trust the husband. I don't trust my children, because if I let them know that I have this kind of money or this kind of property, then they're going to try to, do something to beat me out of it or swindle me out of it. Instead of, the thing is that with technology now, right? All you need is a digital file, okay, with all your stuff in it. And then if somebody knows, well, how can we get into digital file? Well, use the last 4 digits of his social security number. You type that in, all this stuff will come out, right? All the paperwork, all the documents will actually come up. You can do that, even if you don't trust anybody. Say if I don't trust my kids because they're gonna go pooey, right? If I have a digital file somewhere on, with a trusted person, or even in a safety deposit box, right? They can go get that one little disk. Everything will come up, right? Everything that they need, bank accounts, insurance, probably all that kind of stuff. Because I know what it is, and that's the bad part about our culture. We're tight knit with things. We don't trust each other, and that's the issue. So at some point we're gonna have to stop that stuff.
Them preachers gonna get you for saying that. Them preachers they coming for you. They coming for you because they've been waiting on that real estate, and you messing up their business.
They kicked me out with Dr. Rosie, so I don't have to worry about it. So they put me out a long time ago. He said, Dr. Rosie, you can come in, but that guy, he got to wait at the door.
Dr. Anderson always tell me, he said, I expect to turn the TV on one day and see them chasing you down that 405. And 405 freeway. You got, but the truth, well, they tell me the truth will set you free. So I believe in telling the truth. But folks, you guys need to start talking about, do you have insurance? But the good thing about I like that you don't have to ask their permission. Because if I would call one of the grandkids or a cousin who I know don't have anything and say, I would like to get insurance policy, he would swear I'm getting ready to kill him. He wouldn't give me any information. So what you're saying, Barbara, with this plan, all I need is his name, where he lives. I don't even need his social security number.
Just his birthday. And the nice thing about it is you don't even have to ask. So if they do have burial coverage, great. If they don't, everybody still wins, okay? Because what you're looking at me, I ain't gonna die, well, in case you do. Okay, ain't nobody gonna get out of here alive. I guarantee.
Yeah, well, it's even at that, at my age, it's cheaper to get it and cover people than as an insurance policy. If it's reasonable, then the unexpected happen. Whether it's me, whether it's kids, whether it's because like I said, in this economy, this gig economy, nobody's covered, right? Because everybody's working independently. Okay, their job doesn't cover that anymore. Okay.
Wow. And one of the things, too, that this plan offers, it offers some silver plans, which I didn't go into, which you can get some information on that later, between 65 and 80. Let's just say you don't have no children, and it's just you, and you want to take care of your own funeral expenses. Add a silver plan for yourself. And so when it is your time to go, it's not a burden to anybody. You've already decided how it's going to happen, and you pay for it annually, and when you die, your policy will take care. They will call the number just like they did for anybody else, and you will be handled with respect and dignity, just as you planned, and not like, what do we have to do? We got to find this policy, wait for this policy to fund. Who gonna handle the business? Make the phone call, the funeral happens, it's done.
Yeah.
Well,
It's basically McDonald's money. It's really all it is. It's McDonald's money. If you eat out or you eat fast food or however you eat every day, that's all it really is.
Exactly.
I like to plan
it's about $2 a day.
Yeah,
about $2 a day.
I have insurance, but something this simple because I wanted to ensure have a policy for some of the other straggling. Y'all write this down, stragglers. I know everybody got some stragglers in their family. So because I want to make sure some other straggling whose children were going to be calling me when something happened, I took out this plan so I could, cover them. And then the money from my policy can go for something else, can be just left to my children and grandchildren. So I didn't see it.
Dr. Rosie, I want to share this with you, too. I shared this plan a year ago with a friend of mine, and he said, no, I'll think about it. I'll get back to you. Well, his brother's funeral is tomorrow, and he came by last Monday asking us to make a donation to bury his brother. And I said, you know what, the donation I gave you was the information a year ago that you didn't take advantage of. So now they're going to the expensive Catholic place and the cemetery and the mortuary and all of this, but it's because he's actually asked everybody around to max out their credit cards to cover the cost of the burial of his brother.
Somebody would ask me to put some funeral on a credit card. I'm not going to do it. I was talking to one man, Keith, and he said to me, I was talking to him about trust and some other stuff. Well, Doc, I just left the doctor's office and he gave me a clean bill of health. I said, yeah, right. I said, those people that was in New York in that mall that got shot and was killed, I'm sure they had a clean bill of health. It has nothing to do with your health. Death has nothing to do with nothing, but when your number is called, it's not put up on a board of flashing light. Well, Keith, you're going to be next. Keith, Rosie, No. And it doesn't matter whether you read or not. And death does not make an appointment. Wouldn't it be nice if death said, now look, Barbara, I'm coming to get you in 2 weeks. Wouldn't that be?
I'm going to max out my American Express card, I promise you.
That's the show all by itself. What would you do if you only had 7? I'll give you 2 weeks to see what all would you do if you had only 2 weeks to live. I think we'll do a show like that and see what. It would be interesting to find out what people would do. Some of them be going looking for somebody they be wanting to do something to for a long time. You'll have all kind of scavenger hunts going on. So, Keith, we need to do that show one day and just find out what would people do if you had 2 weeks to live. Would you eat up everything that's in the house? Would you go drain the bank account? You'd be surprised what people would do, just like people getting ready to get a divorce. What they do, go drain that bank account.
Keith, what would you think, Keith, if you could attend your own funeral and watch the people tell them, oh, I loved him so much. Oh, I was so good to him. And you'd be sitting there in the audience looking at them going like, really?
Oh.
Really?
It make you feel like faking a funeral.
Oh, yeah, it would. Remember, I think it was Coming to America, too, where he's actually attended his own funeral.
Yeah.
I said, I want to hear it before I die.
Hear all those lies, huh? Everybody's so good. One man got up at a funeral once and he said, oh, me and Mr. Swanson, man, we used to slap them cards and drink that beer. People were so mad. That's why I said you need to name who you want to talk, because some of these jokers get up and say the wrong thing.
That means he's human. If he slapped the cards and drank beer, that means he was a good human being. That's all it means.
But people got mad at him. He don't need to be let folks know the man was drinking. Who cares?
Yes, who cares? Yeah, he had a good time.
Yeah, and all the other good work he had done that other people had talked about. But the thing that they would hold on to, that he drank beer. Not how many children he raised and that kind of stuff. But folks, we're coming close to the end, but we want you to know, Barbara, give that number out again.
Area code is 213 Barbara Gates. Area code 213-999-0892. Email address BarbaraGates@gmail.com.
Now, call me one more time.
Leave me your name and number.
Call
213 999-0892.
Okay, now go over one more time what this burial plan cover for $720 for people in the state of California.
It covers dial an 800 number, all your mortuary expenses, the casket, the mortician fees, prayer cards, service at a chapel, and cremation or delivery to a funeral interment, final interment that you must pay for. We will deliver the casket to the place where you'd like to have it buried, and from there on, those expenses are your own.
Only thing it doesn't cover is putting you in the ground or in the crypt, right?
Yeah.
In the ground. And that's real estate. We don't do real estate, but everything up to real estate, from the time you just make the phone call and say, Johnny's on 5th in Vermont, that's the only thing you need to do. We will find a local mortuary that we've already assigned and designated that are a part of our group to pick up Johnny, handle Johnny's funeral, and when you see him, and you will get to see him beforehand, he'll be in a casket that's pre-planned, pre-purchased. You don't have to pay for it. All of his everything will be fine. He'll be beautiful, ready to go. And even if you have special needs like Muslims and have different things, we will honor those particular requests as well. Everything done right at that mortuary chapel.
Yeah, it does help because we had to bury my father like a couple of years ago, right? And all this stuff was already set up, right? So after he passed in the hospital, people were all fretted up. I said, everybody just get together, take a task. We had him everything planned within 2 days.
Wow.
2 days,
Exactly.
just boom, from start to finish, because everything was already, like Barbara says, everything was already pre-approved, taken care of, where it was going to be buried. We went online, found a casket, okay, and all we had to do was find a mortuary. Within 2 days, we had everything done.
Wow, you really
Make
need
one phone call with Assure for Life, and it's done.
Yeah,
one phone
right,
call.
it's done. One phone call and it's done. And then then all you have to do is handle the social thing, which is calling people, which takes longer.
And don't forget, you got to handle the food, y'all. You know, you got to have some food.
And here's the caveat, Keith. This is the last one. Honest, this plan has got so many benefits. Mm-hmm. You get the plan holder. Let's just say, Dr. Rosie, you're gonna put me in your plan. If I pass away and I'm gonna be buried in Georgia, that's where I want to be. That's where I live. They will give you, as the plan holder, a round trip ticket to attend my funeral in Georgia.
Okay.
Wow.
Just for the plan holder. All inclusive. All of it. It's just so many benefits to this plan for $2 a day to cover 7 people that you love.
You do what we did. We set up a Zoom, okay, for everybody that couldn't come.
Keith, there's something on the board. I see my book up there that said, nigga, please.
I
don't know who put that up there.
This is Dr. J. Said if I could watch my own funeral, I know that I would have to repeat these 2 words over and over again. Nigga, please. That's why you show in your book.
But my dad would always say, for a funeral, you don't forget you have to handle the food and the foods.
Yeah.
Food and the foods, okay?
A friend of mine, he said he wanted a Viking funeral, right? You Viking funeral, you actually push him out to sea on a boat, and then you take some arrows and light it some flaming arrows and shoot it to the boat and burn the boat and that's a Viking funeral.
Well, you guys,
I don't want to be your friend.
One thing we know for sure, you guys, we're going to leave here. Now, I don't know where you're going. Some say you're going to heaven. Some say heaven going to be right here. Some say hell going, I don't know how heaven, well, I guess it's heaven and hell right here now. So wherever you're going someplace. Or if you stay here, let's say you're going to be somewhere, but you're going to, be out of these bodies. So you want to take care of yourself. Don't leave your family in dire stress. Folks, it just doesn't make sense. Don't make people so mad they want to dig you up and kill you. You're already dead. So No, leave them.
You're right, Tues, about that. We're going to have a Zoom call. We need to have a Zoom call. So when you put all of your family together, we'll have a special Zoom call just for you and your family. Or Miss Linda and your family. We'll have a Zoom call, and they can hear all of it firsthand, get their questions answered, and get them enrolled and out the door. Business is business.
Wow. Well, I tell you guys, whenever they have my funeral, you guys going to listen to a good sermon because I'm going to preach my own funeral.
Hey,
I'm going to wear my pretty hat.
Only you, Dr. Rosie.
I'm going to preach my own funeral. I'm not playing. You're going to hear from me at the funeral. Don't think I'm done. When they say she's gone, don't think I'm done. Because if you come to the funeral, you're going to hear a sermon from me. God dog it.
You're going to have the last word, Dr. Rosie.
I'm going to have the last word.
You're going to have the last word.
Even at the funeral, okay?
hey, I like that. I like that idea.
You like that, Shawannah?
Oh, yeah, I like that idea.
Shawannah said, okay.
And when I do that, I bet people all over, I'm going to do my own funeral, too. You know, people always trying to copy after me, but I'm going to preach my own funeral. You're going to hear ye this. And everybody that owe me, I'm going to put that at the end of the sermon. Everybody who didn't pay me, I want y'all to get them money to the nonprofit, and if you don't do it in 6 weeks, I want my daughter to put all your names in the newspaper. I already told her, Mama, don't do that. Y'all gonna pay me.
Shawannah, we're going to have to do a show with you talking about whose name is on my deed at my house. I'm telling you, there's so many people that do not know whose name is on the deed of their house. The ones that have, liens on your house, and you thought it was yours, but it belonged to the roof of the plumber and Pete.
Oh, yeah. No, I know whose house belongs to who.
They better start it.
No, I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do, but I don't think the people on the call need to know a deed that they have not looked at in 22 years or 25 years, or pull the stats on who actually is on the title of this house, where the liens are, what's going on. We duck and dodge information.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I can run people's properties and know what's owed against them and who owns what and things like that.
There you go.
The person needs to know. Mm-hmm.
And it's important to check, I remember when I was in my early age, I ain't going to tell y'all how long that's been, but I was in my early age. Trust me, okay? Mm-hmm. And so what happened, I was working for an insurance company, and this was a pharmacy, and he had somebody else as his beneficiary other than his wife. When I saw it, I said, he can't do that. My boss told me, if you don't go somewhere and sit down, you're not going to have a job, because people can put whoever they want to. I thought that should have been against the law, to be married to me and somebody else on your insurance policy. But both, I'm on the one saying that, because y'all better check.
Crazy.
Y'all better check. Y'all better check.
Oh, my God.
You telling black folks business now, Dr. Rosie.
I know. I'm putting the business in the street. Y'all better check. See whose name on that stuff, Yeah, and if he
ask the white people, you better ask the white people. They ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, you better find out, because you'd be surprised. It's a lot of surprises comes out when people die. And you be sitting there trying to be sad at the funeral, but you be more mad than you sad.
I can't believe him or her.
People can leave you in a predicament, folks. I'm serious now. They can leave you in a predicament. You can ask your mother, your father sometime, is everything, oh, baby, I got everything paid for. They haven't paid for the opening and closing. They haven't paid for the casket. All they have is some little part. Oh, girl, I got it. So you need to say, Mama, let me see it. Daddy, let me see it. Son, let me see it. Daughter, let me see it. I'm telling you all, you best to start seeing for yourself. As my daddy said, I saw it with my own eyes. Y'all better start seeing it with your own eyes, okay?
And most of the time, those old policy cards, my mother-in-law had one. The beneficiary is the funeral home. And the beneficiary was one of the most exclusive high-end funeral homes. And it was 30 years old. And its face value was $1,850. She insisted on going to Alabama. I said, you ain't going to the airport with that right there. Okay.
Absolutely.
But You don't know if you don't ask those difficult questions.
That's
It took me 5 years to actually get that card in my hand, to actually investigate it and see and actually convert it into something that was useful and doable so that we could just do the right things when it came her time. But people have this old term policy that's got a name on it for an insurance company that's no longer in existence, that has a face value of $500. And we don't know because she's been looking at that piece of paper for 40 years telling you it's paid for, but you need to do your due diligence. I promise you.
You do. And if the insurance comes out of business, you need to find out what you can do, because that happened with some insurance company. So you guys, the clock on the wall said that's all. We had a very interesting show. We have a great one coming up for you next week. We're going to be talking about hair restoration, talking about how men and women are going bald, why and what you can do. Why are you laughing, Keith?
I'm thinking about all the man weaves that are out there now.
Yeah, they going bald too, aren't they?
They're going bald too. Yeah, they getting weaves just like the women are.
Well, I tell you, some folks making a whole lot of money off the baldness, so we're going to show people how to, get your groove back, how to get your own hair back, okay? All right, and Miss Doris Mosley, I call her Madam C.J. Walker. She's going to be our guest next week. So you guys, Barbara Gates, thank you so much. You gave great information to my co-host, Keith and Shawannah. You guys are the best in the West, the East, the North, and the South. So you guys have a great day. Talk to you soon.